Well, hello, and thanks for coming back to video 2. Your response and critiques to the first video were amazing. Seriously, you guys rocked. In fact, I got so much positive feedback that I've now shifted the way that I'm going to be doing this course. Instead of doing legalities, finances, and systems, each in a separate video, I'm combining them all into this video. That means the next video is going to be a surprise. It's something I hadn't originally thought I would include, but now I am, thanks to you. In the previous video, we touched base on finding your purpose, setting goals, figuring out what you're passionate about, and focusing on your boundaries in business and in life. Only once those things are determined, only then can you really find the purpose for your business. In this video, we're going to cover one of my biggest crushes, systems. As you already know, I'm obsessed with systems. They have done so much for my business. And let me start off by saying what systems really are. Systems are just the way that you organize your business. So the way that you create rituals and organization, that's really what systems are. These systems and rituals are going to be what keep you afloat. These systems are going to be what allow you to take time off, paid time off, while your business continues to flourish without you. Included in these systems, we're going to talk about finances and how to include finances into your system, and we're going to touch a little bit on legalities. Even if you're a business that's already formed legally, it's still important to know some of these things so that you can make sure you're doing things correctly or that you're able to give help to somebody else. Also, at the end of this video, you're going to find out what we're doing next time. Before I get too far into this, I have to disclaim something. I am not a lawyer and I am not an accountant. When it comes to picking out the right things for your business, I really suggest you seek professional help. Now, how you know that you need to seek professional help is the second you start charging someone for your services or information or products. At that point, the IRS is going to consider you a business, and at that point, I would say it's a good time to find an accountant or a lawyer that you can at least ask a few questions to. What I'm going to tell you is just things that I've learned, that I figured out from my accountant and from my lawyer for my specific situation. So I've gone ahead and I've encompassed all other businesses into this, but like I said, disclaimer, I'm not a professional lawyer or accountant, so seek professional help. If you want to know a little bit more about some of the finance systems that are out there that are online for your help, or if you need to know a little bit more about the legalities, there's this amazing book called Creative Business Startup. The author is really cool and I kind of want to be her. So make sure you check it out and read the chapter on business finances in the legalities chapter. They're very short, but worth a couple minutes of your time. So moving on to systems and organization. Right off the bat, if your business is a baby, a toddler, or a teenager, no matter what stage your business is in, it's never, ever too late to introduce systems. In fact, now is as good a time as ever. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the E-Myth Revisited. So if you haven't read that book, it's an amazing entrepreneurial book by Michael Gerber, and he talks about systems. And in fact, that's one of the biggest things that he talks about, or at least it was the biggest thing that I felt like he was talking about. So if you haven't thumbed through the E-Myth Revisited, go ahead and order it on Amazon right now. It's 12 bucks. You won't be sorry. And honestly, if you just skim through it, you're going to get so much out of it. In fact, I lent my copy to somebody and I don't know who it was. So if it was one of you, send it back. I had really good notes in the margin. There are 1,000,001 online programs when it comes to systems. Your job as the business owner is to pick the one that works best for you and your team. So when it comes to sharing systems with your employees, you can look at things such as, oh, and by the way, if you don't have employees right now, trust me, you will. I'm a huge fan of them. To name just a few, Asana, Wunderlist, Bootcamp, Trello, these are all systems online that will help you stay organized and create systems or templates, things that you'll be doing over and over again. And then you'll be able to assign these tasks or these templates to somebody else on your team. So if you're a photographer, one system that's very specific for photographers is a program called ShootQ. It's amazing when it comes to automation, billing, organization, finances, emails. It's an all-in-one bundle. But there's lots of others like that. 17 Hats is another one I've heard is really great. So how do you pick the right one? Well, personally, I would suggest just trying a couple of them. Almost all of them will give you a 30-day free trial. I use Dropbox. So one thing I do with Dropbox, I started off with making videos of just the simple things that I did every day. So I'd make a video, I would just use a screenshot. So I'd use either Snagit or Jing. I think that Jing is free, but don't quote me on that. Jing or Snagit will actually record your screen as you're doing something. You can also narrate, and at the end you can add arrows or things like that that might help. So I started off by doing just small recordings on how I answered emails, how I made my blog posts, social media posts, things like that. My videos ranged from 3 minutes to 29 minutes. Now, once I started doing all of that, I started realizing a lot of this stuff I could hand off to somebody else to do. I don't need to be sitting here doing this. Not only did making these videos help me see how much time I was spending on each task, but they let me see that I truly could start to outsource my tasks. Now, once I recorded these videos, I put them in Dropbox, and I organized Dropbox so that they were kind of in different systems. In fact, my main folder is called Systems, and after that, it's broken down into subcategories. One of these days, I need to take you on a tour of my Dropbox. It's crazy organized, which is totally not like my normal life, but it's my business life. And my business life is organization on steroids. I think I might have said this in an email or something, but don't even think about going into my closet because you will not find any organization system there. Now, just to show you a light at the end of the tunnel when it comes to hiring someone, once I had made all of these videos and these tasks, and I actually did hire someone, all I had to do was ask them to go watch these videos, perform that task, and let me know if there were any questions, if I left anything out. I made these videos thinking to myself, if I got amnesia tomorrow, would I be able to perform these tasks based on this video? How well am I making these tasks? How thorough am I on these tasks, on these systems? Now, once I hired someone and I handed them all of these systems that I had created and they started doing all of this work for me, and it was actually organized and working, I had this little thing called free time. And in this free time, I decided I'm gonna make a course on business, which leads me here today. So without systems, this would not have been possible. Now let's touch base on a tiny, small task, email. Email takes up so much of our time. Communicating, putting out fires, talking to new clients, sending contracts. In the book, A 4-Hour Workweek, the author sums up a really great way to use systems when it comes to emailing. He suggests only emailing twice a day, and then eventually once a day, and then he does once a week. That's my goal, is to get down to once a week. When he suggests only answering email twice a day, never do it at the beginning or the end of the day. Do it either right before lunch or right after lunch. You're going to almost be batch email answering. Now, if this scares you, make an autoresponder that tells your clients or people that are trying to get in touch with you that you have something very important that you're working on that's taking your time up right now, but you will get to them because they're so important. In fact, you'll get to them around lunchtime, either today or tomorrow. That sets their expectations and lets them know that you're prioritizing your work so that you can be a better worker for them. Setting up an email system might seem small in the beginning, but setting up a system like this that's tiny will help you grow and make systems that are even bigger, that are going to start to take over your business, allowing you to take a step out. Now, when it comes to setting up systems for your finances, you're going to do something very similar to what you did for emails. You're going to set up a day and a time where you're going to be taking care of all of your finances. This can be once a week or once a month, depending on where you are with your business. So when you have your 30 minutes to an hour of your financial day, you're going to be using that time to look through all of your ins and outs of money, what you're spending things on, creating reports so you can actually get an overview of what's going on in your business. Some online systems that you can use that are very inexpensive are things like QuickBooks, which was just too complicated for me and I kind of gave up on that, and I switched to another online provider. You can use things like Less Accounting, FreshBooks. Really, it's hard to go wrong. However, in the beginning, I would stick with just a basic program, something that's just going to give you a profit loss report and a couple other reports to share with your accountant. Unless you're a really large company, you're not going to need a whole lot else. That's what took me away from QuickBooks. I didn't have the time or the mindset to learn it, and frankly, I didn't need all of the things it was offering. I had an accountant that I was going to send my reports to, and she would plug everything in for me. Now, once your business outgrows this online software, your accountant's going to let you know, and that's going to be a good time to outsource or even bring your accountant on full time to help with your bookkeeping. Okay, Emails and finances are going to seem like little bitty things when it comes to keeping track of your clients and following through. The words I hate to hear in business are when people tell me that they keep having slip-ups or people are falling through the cracks. That is not stuff as businesses we like to hear. It makes my heart sink a little to know that people are losing clients just simply by not having good systems to keep track of them. And I'm going to talk to you for a minute about CRMs. CRM stands for Customer Relationship Management. These tools are the most reliable way to prevent clients from slipping through the cracks. Something like ShootQ, Infusionsoft, Ontraport, Pipedrive, Freshdesk, these are just to name a few of CRMs. Once you start implementing a CRM that's going to take care of your client management, the next step is autopilot. Oh my gosh, I seriously cannot get excited enough about autopilot. It allows you to step away while your business continues to function by itself. And that all starts with a good CRM system. Okay, so what do I want you to do today? I want you to pick 3 things that you do all the time. I want you to make a screen capture of those things. In other words, you're going to record your screen as you're going. Now, if you don't have a business yet, these are systems you think you're going to be using. In fact, you're in one of the best places because you haven't even started yet. So you're going to start with a blank slate. Now, if you do have a business, creating these systems now is the perfect time. I want you to pick 3 systems that you're going to make a screen capture on. So that can either be an email that you're commonly writing. Side note, if you are writing an email more than once, don't ever, ever, ever write it again. You need to make that into a template and automate it for real. If you don't have a CRM, customer relationship management tool, then that's going to be something that I really want you to sign up for immediately. A lot of the CRMs have a free trial run or start off very inexpensively. As you start to grow and as your business starts to grow, you're going to be so glad you've already implemented a CRM versus trying to do it later when your business is thriving and busting at the seams. Having a CRM is going to prevent your clients from slipping through the cracks. This is so important. More clients equals more money. Lastly, make sure that you are legit in the eyes of the government and the IRS. That means setting up a time to talk with an accountant and a lawyer to make sure that you have done everything you need to do to be legitimate. The last thing you want is the IRS knocking on your door. Figuratively, obviously, they won't really come knock at your door, but you do want to make sure that you have all your ducks in a row. You can do this by getting some accounting software and just running by and asking a couple questions to a paraprofessional or setting up a time to talk with a lawyer. You will have to pay for this because that's how they have their business. So just be prepared and make sure that you are setting aside a little bit of money for all of the legalities, accounting, reoccurring payments for your online softwares. Now get ready because a new section is coming. Since I originally was going to have legalities, finances, and systems all in separate videos, I've now crammed them into one. We are going to be doing something brand new that I hadn't even dreamt of including. But thanks to your feedback, we are going to be talking about list building and growing your audience. I am so jazzed about this and really cannot wait. And bonus, we're gonna be doing it live so that we can sit down and talk face to face in real time. Make sure you have your pen and paper because you're going to have some questions to ask and you'll be able to ask them right off the bat. I guess it's kind of like a hot seat, but I'm the one in the hot seat. If you can't make the live recording, that's okay. We're gonna be putting a replay up so that you can see it later and so that you can watch it again and again because you're going to have so many aha moments. It's going to be really juicy and I have no idea how we're going to cram it into only 1 hour or less. And slightly terrifying because you're going to be able to ask me whatever questions you want. I'm totally going to have to be on my A game and have all of the answers for you. Which brings me to my next point. Give me feedback. I need to know what you're thinking, how you're feeling, and what you truly want to get out of this course. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep preaching on and on. Otherwise, I would have made 3 whole videos on legalities, systems, and finances. Next, tomorrow, you're going to get the survey for feedback. I can't stress how important this is. In fact, if you forgot to do the feedback form for our purpose video, go back and do it now. It still is so helpful. Now that we have crammed 3 lessons into one, we're gonna have an extra week, which means I'm gonna be answering all of your questions and thoughts, all of the things you wish you had been able to ask me in another lesson. So it's really important that you go back to the Finding Your Purpose survey and you tell me your feedback. As well as this next one tomorrow, let me know your feedback on this course. And every Sunday at 7 p.m., you're gonna get a new questionnaire survey. So make sure that you're sitting by your computer waiting. Awesome, you have a couple action items to do. I want you to write below the 3 systems that you are going to be implementing this week. Then I want you to actually implement them. I want you to check out some of the online software for CRM tools, for your accounting tools, and get to work making some brand new systems so that you don't let clients slip through the cracks anymore. In fact, I'll give you a little tip. This whole program, all of the emails that I'm sending you, although they're personalized and I'm going back and changing them all the time, I actually did them all on Infusionsoft. I set up a huge campaign, and when I have new leads, I'm getting ahead of myself. We're going to talk about that next week.